So this weekend, I spent the entire weekend doing algebra because we were preparing. My oldest son is preparing to do an algebra test at the end of the year. And I was reflecting on how unfair education actually is. Here is my son who is getting tutored because I'm simply a parent by a professor that has, an engineering degree and all of the sort of mathematical training that many other people just simply don't have. And I was reflecting, and this is, I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm just stating a fact. I was just reflecting on how unfair that actually is. And it's kind of a reflection on how unfair much of the world actually is. And if you start taking a step back and thinking about this, right, that if the world was completely fair, we would all have the same experiences and the same background, and everybody would have the same parents. All of that stuff just does not exist, right? And if you have a parent that will sit down with you and help you, and this is even the trickier part, is lots of people have very successful parents with all sorts of education, but they don't sit down with their kids. They don't spend any time with their kids because they think it's just not worth their time. They should be working, or maybe they should be going in the office, all of that kind of stuff, and they don't prioritize spending any time with their kids. I know a lot of people like that. And I think about how fortunate some people are compared to others. And I think about, my experience, and this is not a knock on my parents. They just were not the people that would sit down and, I don't remember a single instance of, having my parents sit down and do homework at the table with us. That just didn't happen. And I think that's true for a lot of people. They're wonderful parents, but it just wasn't part of, what we did as a family. It wasn't as emphasized as many other families, or some families. And I think about that all the time. And what does that actually mean? What's going on there? That means that there is a lot of inequality that happens, not only in education, but just in general. And what can we do? Right? I'm not going to be an advocate that we sort of remove all of the sort of nuance between human beings, as many countries tried to do, right? That just does not happen. But what I can do is use available technology right now. And one of the ways that I could do that is just give you a little bit of hope, give you a little bit of just inspiration for today, to get up, to try to be the one person in your family that will study, that will spend some time doing a little bit of extra work. I remember many times, studying in my room, and I would study for hours and hours and hours. I don't know why my parents let me do that. It was kind of a silly thing, but I remember spending hours and hours and hours studying by myself. And I want you to know that if you're the one person out there that's doing that at this moment, that's probably the right thing to actually do. And it's going to feel not great. It never really feels great when you're spending time by yourself. It's lonely. You never feel, the whole experience is just not good. But the thing that matters the most um, is that you have hope and that you can get up and get going and try. I realized this a few years ago, is I can give you all of the answers and how to do things, and I can put that stuff online of this is what you need to do. These are the different steps that you need to do, all the mathematical formulas and how to do things and how to sort of solve different problems. But what I realize is that's not often what's lacking, is more information. We have libraries full of information all around the world. Libraries full of free information. We have an internet that's full of free information that's available, yet most people don't look it up. And I think most people don't look it up, and most people don't sit down and say, hey, I could do this thing, I can try, because they believe that they actually can't. And they have this belief in their mind that they're not good enough, that everybody else is better than them, that there's some fixed reality that actually exists. But I want you to I just want you to know that how you actually get better, how you have the gumption to do something, how you go from here to there, is just by doing a little bit. Just a little bit. That's it. Every day. One little tiny thing. And when you do that one little tiny thing every day, and you try one little bit, something happens. And I think the only way that you're going to do that, in my experience, many people find it very difficult to do that. But if I could be the one person that just gets up and says, hey, get going, try one more day. This might be the day that something might happen. And you might put it up, you might watch this, try something, and then all of a sudden you have this massive failure event that it feels awful. You know, somebody makes fun of you, you know, that some catastrophic event happens in your life. Well, the only thing I could do if that happens, if you're trying, if you're getting up and pursuing something today, is to say, get back up, get going tomorrow. Try just a little bit tomorrow. Try to push away all of those massive failure events, those things that don't feel good, and just get up and try one little bit. That's it. Start off with 5 minutes and spend 5 minutes doing that thing that you're trying to work at. And just keep doing that day in and day out. Have people make fun of you every day. Pretty soon, those massive failure events that you experience where people make fun of you or any number of different things becomes calloused. And it doesn't feel so bad anymore. And you can tell all of those people to stick it. Doesn't matter. And you're just going to keep going one little day at a time. Just what I'm telling you is it just requires you to get up and get going. And yes, there's massive inequality in this world, and that's never going to disappear. Human beings are naturally, just like any other organism, naturally, we have natural built-in inequality, and we can't fix that. But what we can do, and the one thing that all of us can do, is just try to give somebody a little bit of hope. Tell them that they can do it. Tell them to try just a little bit, something different, just to give some encouragement every day, every darn day. And sooner or later, somebody is going to listen. Sooner or later, they're actually going to grow and do something that they thought that they couldn't actually do. And I encourage you to try every day. Don't stop. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.